All right, so the Nintendo Switch OLED is announced and people are astounded. And they are mad too. But I'm like, why are y'all so mad? Like, what is the problem? Like, on one hand, I get it. False expectations. You were expecting something with 4K. You were expecting better performance. Something. You didn't get that, and you got something that was more expensive. Okay, I get that. Especially for, what you get, and it's more expensive. I feel you. But this has always been Nintendo. Nothing has changed. This kind of upgrade is in line with the history of Nintendo. It goes all the way back to the Game Boy. The Game Boy, the fat one, launches at $70. Game Boy Pocket comes later. Also launches at $70, but with a better screen, but shorter battery life and way less durable. Like, I remember people had that thing in their pocket or they dropped it and it would break because they were used to the Game Boy. It was so much more durable. You probably throw a bomb at that thing and it would survive. Not so much with the Game Boy Pocket. So you paid $70 and you basically got less for that. Same thing with the Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance launches at $100. Game Boy Advance SP comes out a little bit later. Comes with a better screen, backlit, but a shorter battery life, no headphone jack, uncomfortable design, and then it actually loses performance in frame rate. And it also launches at $100. So you get something at $100. You get something at the same price that the original one launched, and then you get less. Here comes the Nintendo Switch, priced at $300. Now comes the OLED at $350. No real changes to it, but it includes an OLED screen, an Ethernet port, a better tabletop stand, and you lose one USB port and it costs $50 more. Joy-Cons stay the same. Everything else stays the same. But you compare that to what happened with the Game Boy, what are you mad at? Like, this is the history of Nintendo. You get a Game Boy and you get the better one, but it doesn't even come with the exact same stuff and more. No, it comes with some of the same performance and less. And so the OLED comes out, you get more for it. Isn't it logical? You pay a little bit more for it. Like, that's kind of how these things work. You get more, you pay more. Like, if we're going to go down this route of you don't like the Nintendo Switch OLED because of the incremental upgrade, it doesn't feel as much, it's $50 more, where's your complaints about the PlayStation 5? The difference between the PlayStation 5 digital and the PlayStation 5. You know what that is? A disk drive. You know what the price difference is? $100. You're okay with paying a $100 difference to put your disc in, but you can't pay $50 more for what the Nintendo Switch offers. What kind of nonsense is that? That makes zero sense. But here's my point. You're mad at the wrong thing. The truth is, you feel left out. I feel left out. The Switch OLED is not for you or me. We want something with better performance. Here comes something with a better screen. It's for people who want a new Switch, who don't have a Switch, or ones who want a better screen. That is who the Switch OLED is for. You and I, we're not the target audience. But it does make me wonder how big the OLED screen audience is for them to even push this thing out, because this is a weird console to come out with right now. Like, its existence is weird. It's not a substantial upgrade. I think we could objectively say it's not a substantial upgrade. So here's a picture of our immediate future with this thing in existence. You go to the store, you go online, and now you have the Switch Lite, the original Switch, and the OLED Switch all on the shelves. None of them are changing prices. The Switch Lite's going to stay at $200. The original Switch is going to stay at $300. And the Switch OLED is going to stay at $350. That doesn't line up with how typical console sales go when a new model comes out. This is what's frustrating, because we're used to when a brand new upgrade version of a console comes out, Usually by that time that happens, either the original console has already dropped in price or it's going to drop in price by the time the new model comes out. And so we're here and none of the Switch consoles are changing price and we're getting a new one on the shelf. And so I have to ask the question, why even keep the middle model? Like, does that make sense? It's $100 more than the Lite and it's inferior to the OLED version. But it goes back to the fact that we're not the console market, and it goes beyond the fact that it's not for just people who don't have a Switch already or who want a better screen. Nintendo's targeting a completely different market than the one at least we believe we don't occupy, and that's the smartphone market. Go to Samsung's website and then look at their phone options and see what you find. There are 5 versions of the Galaxy S10. Now, go to Apple's website. There are 4 versions of the iPhone 12. For what? Why? Incremental differences, options. This is the market Nintendo's reaching. We're not used to that. That's not us. We get a console and we stick with it until we get some kind of upgrade that is significant enough for us to justify buying a better one. It's like the Xbox One, for example. Xbox One is out for a while. The Xbox One S comes out later. Slimmer, a little bit more powerful, can do 4K, Blu-ray, all that stuff. I think the Xbox One can do Blu-ray, but it can do 4K. And, do several different things that the original model couldn't do. Not that much more powerful than the original model, but it's still cheaper than when the original model came out, and a significant upgrade enough to justify its existence and justify, maybe I'll get rid of this one, my original Xbox, to have something that's a little bit sleeker, a little bit nicer, and doesn't look like a giant VCR, That's the way this works. Not the smartphone market. Oh, no. The smartphone market wants new and shiny. And so here comes Nintendo giving new and shiny. So now you go to the store. Here's the Nintendo Switch. 3 models. You look online. 3 models. Could be a 4th later on. Who knows? With that said, though, 3 markets are served. You got the cheap folk for $200. Don't mean that disparagingly, but you know what I'm saying. You got the ones who want everything, but they don't want to pay the extra $50. And then you got the ones who want the best version of the console. That's the reality of the business right now. That's the market. So while Nintendo's always made new versions of their console, this has always been them. It's new for them to leave them on the shelves and not drop the price. That's frustrating. But that's because we're not the target audience anymore. Nope, it's the smartphone folk. So until we get a Switch Pro, let them get what they want. It's fine. If Nintendo's making money, I mean, it's more reason for them to make games, right? Like, the more people who invest themselves in Nintendo's ecosystem, like, we love Nintendo. We want them to succeed. Just on a baseline, just business level, like, forget all the extra profit greed stuff. Like, just take that out for a moment. We want them to succeed, right? If more people are buying into the Nintendo ecosystem, then there's more games to be made. We don't have to buy everything Nintendo puts out. Well, Nintendo's taking advantage of the people who are doing things. Look, if a business puts out a product, you're selling a product. People have been rocking with you for a long time. If you put out a product and you think it's the marginal kind, like the Nintendo Switch OLED, and people buy it, who's being taken advantage of? Like, people are not going to buy something they don't feel like they want, right? Nintendo's not like Apple in the sense of they created this cult of fans. Nintendo people buy Nintendo because they like Nintendo. That's it. Apple people buy Apple and think Android and Windows users are the devil's creation. And those who own those devices are objectively inferior. That's not the Nintendo audience. And so, the market will speak. So let it speak. All right, that's it for this video. Please tap the thumbs up button, do all the YouTube stuff. We've been doing YouTube for so long. I think you know the routine by now. There's a thumbs up button. You can use that. There's a thumb down button. You can use that too. Subscribe as well, bell icon, all that stuff. I do have a podcast that comes out every Sunday. It's called First Person Perspective Podcast. There you go. And so check that out. Every Sunday premieres, easy to find. And I basically talk about the latest games that I'm playing and the latest news. You get something like this just in a longer form. Also, our YouTube channel puts up new gameplay videos pretty much every day. And so that's definitely a reason why you want to subscribe, because if you want to get a look at what a game looks like without any extra commentary or anything like that, we are that channel to keep up with that. So subscribe for that reason. With that said, I'll talk to you later.